Hello, is it audible? Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rupa, working as assistant professor in Chevrolet Engineering College, and I'm dealing the subject PED for third BTech students, JNTU Kakinada. And today's topic is nature and classification of load talks. So depending upon the nature of the load, this load will be dependable on the application used, right? So the nature of the load will be depending upon the application. Suppose if you take an example for low speed hoist, torque will be constant and it is also independent of speed, right? For low speed hoist, torque will be constant and it is independent of speed. And moreover, the TW torque, the windage torque will also be neglected. Okay, so here in the low speed hoist, the net torque will be equal to approximately equal to gravity, and which is constant also. This gravity will also be constant. And if you take examples, fans, compressors, aeroplanes, and centrifugal pumps, ship propellers, boilers, coilers, high-speed hoists, traction, these are all of the examples where we find load torque is a function of speed. Okay, so in all these examples, what I have said, suppose if you take fans or aeroplanes or centrifugal pumps, these are the some of the examples. If you take these examples, in this case, there is a there is a function of load torque and speed. Okay, and for low speed hoist, this will be not the function, because in low speed hoist, this torque will be constant, mostly constant, and it will be independent of speed. But whereas coming to the medium or high speed hoist, this will be dependable on the speed. TL will be dependable on the speed. Suppose if you take figure A. So take this figure A. Here, this will be coming into the example. These examples will be applicable to fans, compressors, aeroplanes. Okay, so in this fans, compressors, and aeroplanes, the windage friction will be dominating in nature. So always the load torque will be directly proportional to speed square of the speed, the load torque will be there. Okay, so this we can find in fans, compressors, and aeroplanes, because windage will be dominating and TL is directly proportional to speed square. Okay, so here in figure A, windage is opposition. It is the windage means what here? It is the opposition that is offered by the air to the motion, right? In order to move any object, some air will be opposing it. So this is termed as windage. So windage is opposition, that is the opposition offered by the air to the motions. So the nature of TL is there. What will be the nature of TL means when the motion is opposed by other fluids. Example, if you take other fluids as water in centrifugal pumps and ship propellers, the same characteristics will be given, the same characteristics given in figure A will be applicable. Okay, so here the nature of torque load will be same as the opposition of fluids occurs. Okay, so if there are some oppositions of liquids in the pipe, suppose if you take centrifugal pipes, if there is a opposition of liquid, there will be a windage friction. So that is the figure characteristics. That is the characteristics of windage. Okay, and next, this is applicable at TL is directly proportional to speed square. And second figure, if you spot out the second figure, this is applicable for high speed hoist. So the nature of the characteristics will be looking like this for high speed hoist. So here we can say that figure A will be existing to low speed hoist or moderate, and figure B will be for high speed hoist. Okay, so in figure B, both the viscous friction and windage are of high magnitudes. Okay, so in addition to the viscous friction and windage, there is other one, gravity also is there. So these three are opposing forces here. What is that? Viscous friction, windage, and gravity. Okay, so this is the high speed hoist characteristics. It will be a straight line increasing in nature. And coming to the figure C here, this is about example of traction loads. So this traction loads means we can consider a heavy mass. Due to the heavy mass, these figure characteristics will be appearing. So here figure in this figure C, we are assuming that heavy mass is there. So heavy mass means at the time of starting the friction, what is it? The static friction is called as, what is it called? It is called as friction, right? At standstill, the friction is called as friction. In order to overcome the inertia of standstill position, we have to move the object. So in order to move the object, we have to overcome some friction. This standstill friction, this starting friction which moves is called as friction. Okay, so very large will be there in this figure. That means for heavy objects, the starting friction, that means the friction is very large. Okay, so at speed n is equal to 0, at speed n is equal to 0, T, this torque, this value, this magnitude of torque is due to friction. And at finite speed, after the, suppose if you take an electric train or a traction system or a drive, okay, so after, before moving, the torque should be high, right? In order to move the object, we have to apply force in order to make a moment of torque. Okay, so after the moving of the object, the starting friction will be 0, right? So at finite speed, we can say that at n is equal to 0, torque is due to friction, and after n is attaining some finite speed, this friction will be equal to 0. Okay, so at that time, windage and viscous friction will be dominating, right? At the time of starting, static friction, that is friction, will be dominating, and after the locomotive attains some finite speed, the windage and viscous friction will be dominating. Okay, this is about figure C. And next, coming to the figure D, this is constant power loads. This is a graph. This is a characteristics for constant power loads. Suppose if you take a torque, suppose if you take a coiler device, and if you consider the torque in the coiler device, it is almost a function of speed. Okay, so it is approximately hyperbola in nature. If you observe the characteristics, it is approximately hyperbola in nature. Okay, so the developed power is nearly constant at all the speeds. The power will be developed, will be constant at every speed, right? So I want to explain, I want to further give brief explanation about this figure C. So all these are clear, but this is somewhat complex, because at the time of starting and at the time of finite speed also there will be some traction, so there will be some torques, and windage frictions, viscous frictions like be present. So further, if you go for further discussions, this gives the statistic shows the traction for load torques. So this is a function of this is a function at only speed, some speeds, because we are assuming this to be a leveled ground. That means a constant. At starting only we are mainly concentrating. So in actual practice, suppose if you take a train as an example, in actual practice, the train has to negotiate upwards. That means it has to move forcefully upwards and downward slopes. Okay, so in the slopes we have to force the train to move fast. Okay, because at the slopes the speed will be decreasing, and at that time also you have to initiate the train, you have to negotiate the train of upward and downward slopes. Okay, so the torque due to gravity will be varying with position here also. Okay, so viscous, windage and gravity will also be present at those slopes, because if you want to move upwards you have to overcome the gravity, right? So when it, suppose if a train takes a turn, okay, if a train is moving on the uh, track, if the train is moving on the track smoothly, in a linear line, some frictional forces will be absent. Some frictional forces will be not absolutely absent, but these will be decreased, some frictional forces. But if a train has a chance to take a turn, if a train takes a turn, the frictional forces on the wheels will be changing subsequently, right? So the frictional forces will be different when it is moving in linear, and it will be different when it is taking a turn. Okay, so if you take a traction, it is an example where the load torque also depends on the position or the path followed by it. So various load torques are there. There are classifications of various load torques depending upon this example. We can say that two types of, mainly we are classified them into two types, active and passive. Okay, so active load torque, it has a potential to drive the motor under equilibrium conditions. Active means it is a potential, it is a force to drive the motor under equilibrium conditions. And coming to the passive, it is the TL. Passive load torque means it is the TL, which will be always opposing the motion. Okay, so if the reversal of the motion is there, we have to change the sign of this motion also. We have to put negative. Okay, so torque due to, so in order to, if the motor is reversed, we have to change the sign. So this torque is due to, this passive load torque is due to friction, windage and cutting, and remaining will be also there. So mainly due to friction, windage and cutting. So active torques, these are due to gravitational force, tension, compression and torsion. Okay, so active torques are due to gravitational force, tension, compression or torsion. These all comes under active torques, and friction, windage, cutting torques comes under passive torques. Okay, and this is the nature of the load. And next one is steady state stability. So see, if the motor torque, steady state stability means when we are getting equilibrium speed, when we are getting a steady state, that means a non-disturbance state. Okay, transient state is quite opposite to steady state, right? So see here, suppose if you want to attain a equilibrium speed of the motor load system, when it is obtained, this equilibrium speed of a motor load system is obtained when motor torque will be equal to the load torque, right? So if motor torque and load torque differs, there will be some accelerations and decelerations. Okay, if there is equal in nature, if motor torque is equal to load torque, motor torque means movement of motor engine and load torque means movement of load. Okay, so if the engine speed is equal to load speed, there will be a steady state motion. Okay, so that speed is called as equilibrium speed. And if the motor torque is greater than load torque, it is called as acceleration, nothing but. Okay, so and if the load torque is greater than motor torque, it is called as deceleration. So I will explain all these in the further classes. So equilibrium speed means what? It is the speed of the motor load system which is obtained, which is attained when motor torque is equal to the load torque. Okay, so this operating speed is called as steady state speed. Okay, so the drive will be operating in the steady state at this equilibrium speed only. Okay, so provided, if you provide the speed of the stable equilibrium, the drive will be operating in steady state. Okay, so this concept, this steady state stability concepts helps us to calculate the stability of the equilibrium point. Okay, so the calculation of the equilibrium point can be done by using this concept, steady state stability. Okay, so this equilibrium point is we are getting from the speed torque curves of the motor and load. Okay, so by this speed torque curves of the motor and load, we can calculate the equilibrium point. So it is easy to calculate the equilibrium point because we can avoid the solutions of differential equations in transient operations. Suppose if you take the transient operations, there will be differential equations. Next, we will see the transient state stability. At that time, you can solve the points by using differential equations only. But this is not the case in the steady state stability. We can avoid the differential equations just from the characteristics, speed torque characteristics only. We can find out the equilibrium points. So various speed torque characteristics are shown here, ABCD figures. Okay, so in most drives, electrical time constant of motor will be negligible. Okay, so there will be two types of time constants, electrical time constant and mechanical time constant. Okay, so out of these two, mostly electrical time constant will be neglected. Only mechanical time constant is considered. Okay, so during transient operation assumptions, what are the assumptions we have to take? Means motor will be in electrically equilibrium state, and second one is steady state speed torque curves are also applicable. Okay, so while we are taking the transient operation, we have to assume two conditions. During transient operation, we have to take two assumptions. First one is motor will be in electrical equilibrium state, and second one is these what we are studying. These are the speed torque curves. What are they? These are the speed torque curves of state stability, steady state stability, right? So in transient operation also we have to consider these speed torque curves which are in steady state stability. Okay, now figures explanation. So coming to the figure A means starting from figure A, B, C, D, these are the figures. So starting from the first figure A, so A point, this is related to the figure A is related to the A point. This is the A point. So now let us examine the steady state stability of the equilibrium point A in figure A. Okay, so this equilibrium point in figure A is called stable when the operation restores after some disturbances. Okay, so let the disturbance, these are the disturbances created in the operation, and after the disturbance, if the drive will be able to come to point A, then it is called as equilibrium point. So we are assuming that there is a disturbance. This is omega m speed and this is torque. Okay, so let there is some disturbance delta omega m. Let there is some disturbance. So disturbance means nothing but from point A, there is reduction of speed. Okay, so at the new speed, always the motor torque will be greater than the load torque, right? At speed A, motor torque is greater than the load torque. Okay, so this is motor torque, this is load torque. Okay, so here motor torque will be greater than the load torque. So as the motor torque is greater than the load torque, this is the motor torque. This is the TL. This is the motor torque. This is TL. Okay, always T will be greater than TL. Okay, so that's why the motor accelerates and it reaches a point A. After some disturbance, it reaches a point A like this. Okay, so if disturbance increases, that means delta M increases, further TL will be greater than T. Okay, so with a small disturbance, motor accelerates. Motor did not consider that. Okay, motor accelerates. So T will be greater than TL. T will be greater than TL and moves to the point A. But if the disturbance which is occurring, if it continues or if it increases, then TL will be greater than T. So motor decelerates. And again, it reaches point A. Motor again decelerates from the accelerating point and it reaches A. So whatever it may be, whether the motor accelerates or decelerates, it will be in steady state point A. Okay. Okay, so the drive is at steady state point A. This is the first figure, A point. And next, B point. If you see the B point, this is in figure B. So if you observe B point, when same motor will be driving at other load. Okay, so same motors in point A only, but I am taking in other load, separate load. Okay, so other load means if I am putting other load, if the speed will be decreasing, right? So if the speed decreases, TL will be greater than T, right? Load torque will be greater than motor torque. So what happens? The drive will be decelerating and operating points will be moved away from the B, right? So if speed decreases, TL will be greater than T. At this time, the drive will be decelerating and operating points will be moving away from B. Suppose if the speed increases, then what happens? T will be greater than TL. Then also operating points will be moving from here to here. Okay. So in any condition, that means in any acceleration or deceleration, the points will be moving away from the B. Okay, so this B will be termed as unstable point of equilibrium. Okay, so similarly, we can obtain the points for B, C and D also. So C will be same as A. Whether the motor accelerates or decelerates, same will be, C will be at stable point, and whether the motor accelerates or decelerates, the D will be moving away from the point. So here from the figures we can say that A and C are stable and B and D are unstable. Okay, so from this point, if you see that equilibrium point is stable when the speed increases. So this increase in speed causes load torque greater than torque. That is, when at equilibrium point, the following conditions will be see here in next slide. See here. So when we say that equilibrium point is stable, when speed increases and it causes the load torque increases motor torque. Okay, so if load torque is greater than motor torque, then at equilibrium point the following condition is stable. So satisfied. dTL by omega m is greater than dt by omega m. Okay, so another way of approach for the equation 6 is, for the above equation, we can go through other procedure and prove this. Okay, so for proving, for mathematically, see that let some small perturbations in speed. Perturbations means some fluctuations. Perturbations means some movements or fluctuations are called as perturbations. So we are allowing some small perturbations in speed, and we are calling them as delta m, wm, omega m. Okay, so this change in this small fluctuations in the speed results in change in motor torque and load torque. Okay, so from equation 2, before we are having equation 2. So what is that equation 2 means? T is equal to 1 minute. I'll show you. T is equal to TL plus J into d omega m by dt. Okay, that is the universal equation. Motor torque is equal to TL plus dynamic torque. Load torque plus dynamic torque. So from that equation 2, we can say that T is equal to TL plus. T means here already before T, and because of fluctuation in speed, delta T exists. So total T becomes T plus delta T. This is the motor torque. And coming to the load torque, previously TL will be there, and with the small perturbations, we are having some change in load torque. So this is the addition of load torque. So TL plus delta TL plus J dynamic torque. What is the dynamic torque here? J into d omega m by dt. That means change in speed. So J into d into omega m means before it is omega m plus that there is a small change in fluctuations. There is a small fluctuations in speed. So we have to take into that one account also. So delta omega m by dt. So the equation becomes T plus delta T is equal to TL plus delta TL plus J into D into omega m by delta omega m by dt. So this is seventh equation. And from that we can write T plus delta T is equal to, and I am taking out brackets and taking out the, breaking out the common equation. See here, TL plus delta TL plus J D omega m by dt plus I am splitting this equation plus J into d omega m by d delta omega m by dt. Okay, so subtracting equation 2 from equation 8. What is the equation 2? T plus TL is equal to J omega m by dt. So if I subtract, it will be coming like this. Delta T minus delta TL is equal to, actually T is equal to, if you put the delta TL this side, left hand side, you will get the normal equation 2, basic equation. So if I subtract equation 2 from equation 8, TL will be cancelled out and only delta terms will be present. Okay, so this term other than delta terms, remaining all will be cancelled out. These three will be cancelled out. Okay, see here, T is equal to TL plus dynamic torque J into D omega m by dt. Okay, so T is equal to, roughly I wrote here, okay, so this is the torque equation, basic torque equation 2, what I am saying. So this is the equation 2, T is equal to TL plus J into omega m by dt, d omega m by dt. So if you minus this second equation from this equation, what happens? This T, TL and J d omega m by dt will all be cancelled out in this term in equation 8. So remaining delta terms will be present. So actually delta T is equal to delta TL plus J into d delta omega m by dt. But if you take this delta TL this side, the equation will be 9. Okay, so delta T minus delta TL is equal to J d delta omega m by dt. So for small perturbations, the speed torque curves of the motor and load are assumed to be straight line. Okay, so if you see here, if you take the speed, there is small perturbation. How you assumed? There is only small perturbation in speed delta m. So if you observe equation 9 and this equation, red pen equation 2, what we know, there is some small torque change and there is some small load torque change and there is some small dynamic torque change, and until that since then that there is no large changes. Okay, so these two equations, equation 2 and equation 9, resemble same, right, but with small changes in torque, delta torque and dynamic torque. So for by this we can consider this as a straight line only. The speed torque curves can be assumed as straight lines only. Okay, so thus from these equations, from these assumptions, we can say that delta t is equal to dt by d omega m delta omega m, and delta TL is equal to dTL by d omega m delta omega m. So these are named as 10 and 11 equations. So these are the slopes of steady state speed torque curves of motor. This equation, first one is, this is the slope of steady state speed torque curve, and second one is, this is the load at operating points. Okay, and now this is 10 equation, this is 11 equation. If you subtract the equation 10 and 11 into equation 9, before equation 9 is there, if you subtract equation 10 and equation 11 into equation, subtracting equation 10 and 11 into 9, and if you rearrange the terms, we will get equation 12. So J into d omega d delta omega m by dt plus dTL dm d omega m minus dt by d omega m into delta omega m common. Okay, so this is 12th equation. This 12th equation is the first order, no square terms. If they are square terms, we can term it as second order. So this is the first order linear differential equation. Okay, so if you consider at starting, if t is equal to 0, then delta omega